Hello everyone, this is Gage from Gondorian Smith, and today I'm going to be bringing you guys another Third Age Reforged online multiplayer battle replay on the 0.97 patch. One is just a field battle 4 versus 4 on huge unit settings on the map that is the Gap of Khand. Pretty open and pretty plain, I guess you could say, but it is of course not as plain and boring as something like Pelennor Fields or Grassy Plains, but that pretty much does it for the introduction. So we'll now go into the army compositions, beginning with Pharaoh here, who is playing as Isengard. He's got a unit of the Lurtz's Hunting back here, a multiple HP body piercing unit here with decent armor, as well as decent stats in melee, but to compensate for that, they are of course rather expensive. In addition to this, he has got a couple units of Dunlending Clansmen. That might actually be 3 units of Dunlending Clansmen, just some cheap spears here to provide some support to his Uruk-hai crossbowmen. You can't really be Isengard without bringing Uruk-hai crossbowmen, of course. You also can't be Isengard without bringing a couple units of Uruk-hai pikemen, which he does have here for Letha now as well. In addition to this, he's got 2 units of Uruk-hai infantry, above average sword and board units, but of course they are slightly more expensive because of that fact. In addition to that, he has got a couple units of the Warg Skirmishers, very good anti-cavalry tool, and because of their AP javelins they can throw from Warg back. And I believe he also has over here a unit of the Nazkai, who really don't need an introduction as they are indeed the stuff of Nightmare. He also has a unit of the Trolls of the White Hand with their new unit model that has been introduced in 0.97, looking very cool indeed, but also rather expensive as all Trolls are. Lastly, he's got 1 unit of the Isengard Ballista, of course, with its insane area of effect damage. It should be able to get some nice hits in here on his enemy Dale, who is facing him. That pretty much does it for his army comp, though. So we'll now go over to mine. I'm going to be playing as the Hobbit folk. We'll be playing as the Shire, and we'll be getting to cut down the men. We'll be able to chop their knees so they can get down to size. Anyway, I've got 2 units of the Tookish Hunters here, some pretty cheap archers. But as far as cheap archers, though, these are actually very cost effective. They are small, as all Hobbit units are, so they actually can withstand skirmish fire for longer because there's a higher chance of the arrows missing. I've got 2 units of them. I've also got 2 units of the Bandits here with their javelins. Going to be very good with their AP against the heavily armored units of Umbar over there. Got 2 units of them on the front lines there. I've also got a unit of the Benderbrass Archers. You can only bring 1 of them before the price increase, but they are slightly better and higher tier than the Tookish Hunters, and they are also AP in melee with their maces. Pretty much the entire roster of the Shire's infantry is AP, which makes them an extremely effective pick against any armored factions, especially factions like Umbar who rely on armor and not numbers. In addition to this, I've got 3 units of the Hobbitry in Arms who are a shield and spear unit that are AP. Of course, as hobbits, they will not have great armor or stats overall, but they do have a lot of men in the unit, and the AP really helps them deal with armored forces. In addition to that, I've got 3 units of Battling Brandybucks, 2-handed shock infantry units that are of course also AP, going to be doing very well here, and they will be giving some support here by these shield-bearing spearmen as well to provide some cover from arrow fire. In addition to this, I've got 2 units of the Farmers of Buckland, yet another AP infantry unit for the Shire. Very good, slightly more expensive than the Battling Brandybucks, and you can also only bring 2 of them before the price increase, but they're almost always worth it to bring. Also got 2 units of the Longbottom Mob. These guys are stone throwers. They are AP missile units. So again, like I said before, the entire roster pretty much of the Shire is AP. In addition to this, I've got the Ents, of course, very expensive, but also very effective. I will always bring them whenever I play as the Shire, especially because the Shire does not have much cavalry, so I find if I bring the Bjornings here as well as the Ents and just use them as a pair and try to chase an enemy cavalry, it can work out pretty effectively as long as I'm not too aggressive. Anyway, we've got the Bjornings here as well, multiple HP, very nice stats, just super deadly overall, but they're of course very expensive as well, and not super slow, but they've also got a devastating charge, of course, as they are riding these ferocious looking bears. In addition to this, I've got a unit of the Dunedain Rangers with a new looking skin. And I actually like this skin a lot better than the old Dunedain Rangers, not going to lie. Of course, body-piercing Rangers are always going to be a target for the enemy, but if you can use them effectively, they can deal a lot of damage. Finally, I've got my General unit, which is the Proudfoot Protectors, which is a crossbow unit, naturally AP. You can see the General right there. I believe that might be Samwise Gamgee, actually. And I believe they're technically pikemen, I want to say, in melee, but they, strangely enough, actually have Shield Wall, not Phalanx, as their special ability or whatever you call it. These guys also have the armor grid, by the way. So I've got a full stack of 20 units. You can do that pretty easily as playing as the Shire because, of course, the units are rather cheap. Over here, I've got my next ally, who's going to be Silver Banshee, playing as Arthedain. He's got a unit of the Wardens of the North, of course, very deadly AP ranged units, as well as also extremely deadly in melee with their 2-handed swords. He's got a couple units of the Dunedain Peacekeepers here with their armor upgrades. Recently, they've been changed from Spearmen to Axemen. They've got a shield and an axe rather than a spear and a shield. Or sorry, they've got a shield and an axe, sorry, rather than a spear and a shield. They're very, very, very effective as far as infantry goes. They don't have tons of armor, which is why it's a good thing he did bring the armor upgrade. But they also have a very, very high attack value as far as sword and shield, or rather axe shield units go. So it's got a front line here of a lot of Fornost E-Rain defenders. Pretty standard spearmen. They've got good armor as well as good shield value, so they should be able to withstand arrow fire and hold the line for a long amount of time. So it's got some Numenos Gate Guards here, very good pike unit. And back here, he's got a couple units of the Dunedain Mounted Company, who are melee cavalry, as well as units of the Royal Court of House Amlaith with their new skin. I believe he actually also brought or gave the armor upgrade to these guys as well. This is his general's bodyguard as well. And over here, he's got a unit of the Dunedain Scouts for horse archers. Now we'll go to the final army of the blue team, which is going to be Aguilar Galudithin. Or I probably butchered that name, I'm very sorry. But anyway, he's going to be playing as a Numenor here. He's got a couple units of the Seafarers and then Deimos AP Javelins, of course, as well as Spearmen, I believe, in melee. Maybe they're actually Axemen. It looks like they're actually Axemen, my bad. He's got a couple units of the Belagir Footmen here, in addition to a couple units of the Romena Bawa Baron archers with a very nice armor value as well as a shield value. You can see their bows looking very nice here. They don't have a ton of arrows, though, so you have to be very, very sparing and very picky about who you want to actually shoot with their arrows. So let's get a unit of the Romena Narakadar, who are AP spearmen with very good stats all around, as most of the Numenor infantry is. Although, of course, like the rest of the Numenor infantry, they are very expensive, and you cannot bring very many of them because he's got 2 units of them, though, so he's investing quite heavily in them. In addition to a heavy investment, he's got 4 units of Romena Abarim, a very, very deadly sword and shield infantry unit that really cannot be messed with pretty much ever, really. You really have to be careful when you're dealing with these guys. You have to really just throw every AP thing at you've got at them in order to effectively deal with them anyway. And back here he's also got a unit of the Royal Legion of Armenelos, which is of course a multiple HP sword and shield infantry unit. It looks like that is indeed his general's bodyguard. And over here he's got a unit of the Romena Karibarin, a lancer unit, as well as a unit of the Pharazim nobles. So a very nice Numenor army there from Aguilar. And over here we've got the first of the red team armies, which is going to be commanded by Arsal. And he's going to be playing as Cardolin. He's got a unit of the mercenary crossbowmen here, as well as a unit of his Royal Court of House Thorondor, looking very nice. He's also got a couple units of mercenary guildsmen who have recently been changed. You can see they're now actually macemen, so they are AP now. Their armor also looks a lot better now, in my opinion. They're actually just a lot more worthwhile to bring now than in previous patches because of their AP. Although, of course, because they are mercenary guildsmen and not a standard unit, they will have slightly lower morale than the rest of the sword and board, or the rest of the infantry, even for Cardwin. He's also got a couple units here of the Minisgruthlin Spearmen to protect his front line. Behind them, he's got a couple units of the Greenway Garrison Footmen Pikemen. You can see have also been given a new skin. I personally love this reskin. I think it looks very, very nice. He's got a few units of them. Looks like 3. He's also got a unit of the Wardens of Tir Gorthad, a unit of the Tharbad Warhammers who are AP, multiple HP, who's in elite, sorry. That's what I'm trying to get at here. He's also got a unit of the Dunedain captains without an armor upgrade. I'm not quite sure because I don't know how these guys look with their armor upgrade in 0.97. But again, a very, very deadly elite unit. Back there, he's also got a couple units of Minisgruthlin sharpshooters. Crossbows are always going to be very effective against heavily armored forces like Numenor. And that'll pretty much do it for his army. So we can now go over to the next one. You can see the second of mercenary guildsmen there. The next army is going to be Dorwin, commanded by Katunka the Easterling. He's got a couple units of the Elvelen infantry. Actually, looks like 4 units of them maybe, as well as 4 units-ish of the Elvelen Vineguard. Very good spearman unit. Again, like most Elvelen units, they're going to be high on armor and low on attack, but they will be able to hold the line for a very long amount of time. So he's also got 1 unit of Morquindi bows, as well as 2 units of Elvelen marksmen. In addition to that, he's got a couple units of Morquindi pikes. And then back here, he's got a unit of the Morquindi Glade Masters, a very elite unit with AP and a lot of skill. That is going to be his general's bodyguard. And he has also got a decent bit of cavalry. No, sorry, he's only got 1 unit of cavalry, rather. And that is going to be the Nandor Glade Riders here. And now we can go to the next army, which is going to be BMK Overlord of Dark Cloud, sorry. He's going to be playing as Umbar. He's got a couple units, no, 3 units rather, of Belagir Footmen, some cheap spears here, as well as 3 or 4 units of Al Karandis Legion. Very, very good sword and shield infantry units. and they will probably not actually do that well against the hobbits because, again, these guys rely on their heavy armor and not their numbers. So the AP and numbers of the hobbits should do fairly well against the Alcarondis Legion. In addition to this, he's got a few units of the Corsair Infantry, who now are archers in addition to being a sword and shield infantry, so they're more of a hybrid now. He also has got a unit of the Warlords of Umbar, you know, the Aduneum Lancers, as well as the Melee Knight that is going to be the Alcarondis Faithful over here. And I believe his general's bodyguard is, yes, the Warlords of Umbar right there as well. And lastly, he's got any of the Belagear archers, and that pretty much does it for his army, so pretty small but rather elite as well. Now, the final army is going to be Arm CJM, commanding the army of Dale. He's getting more Quindi bows here, as well as 2 units of Bardian Marksman, one of my personal favorites. Whenever playing as Dale, I will always bring Bardian Marksman, especially with an armor upgrade. Looks like he does not have the armor upgrade on these guys here, but I really love the armor upgrade unit, the upgraded armor look of the Bardian Marksman. In addition to this, he's also got the Dalian Royal Guard multiple HP bow unit that is also very deadly in melee. Looks like that is going to be his general's bodyguard as well. He's got a couple units of the Dalian Light Cavalry Lancers, as well as a couple units of the Earls of Dale, who are of course melee cav. He's got 2 units of dismounted Earls of Dale, above average sword and shield infantry, good armor, decent enough stats but rather expensive. He's got 2 units of Sword Masters of Esgaroth, very good shock infantry but not AP, however to compensate for that they are rather skillful. And for his back line, he's got 2 units of Lake-Town Pikemen, as well as the Dalian Paladins. That'll pretty much do it for the army comps, so we can now go ahead and actually finally get into the actual battle itself. So the battle does not start off all that quickly, I believe. Actually, I take that back. I believe Carlin does end up rushing Numenor fairly quickly. But for the first part, I actually forgot to mention that I did bring the Gandalf's Fireworks, which is just going to be the Hwacha, but it is available for the Hobbits. So we'll be able to see some nice opening balls here from the Gandalf's Fireworks here. You can see he's in loose formation, so it's not going to do a ton of damage, but you can see because of the wild spray that is the Hwacha, it actually is getting a decent amount of hits. You can see it's hitting basically all 3 of his lines here and doing a fair bit of damage. He's also going to be charging in here with his Lancers. I'm going to try to catch out my Archers and my Bandits. However, I've got a Hobbitry and Armed Spearman here right ready to compensate for that, as well as a Javelin Ball going to go straight into his Aduneum Lancers. Some Ents also going to be charging in there. Meanwhile, we've got my Bjornings charging headlong into the Alcarondis Faithful here. Going to be a nasty, nasty fight there, that's for sure. Meanwhile, we've got some Dunedain Mounted Company struggling hard against the Knights that are the Warlords of Umbar. And over here, we've got some more Dunedain Mounted Company taking arrow fire like there's no tomorrow while they're trying to do their best against the Nandor Glade Riders. So some quick cavalry engagements here from the beginning. And so far, you can see there's actually some Royal Court of House Amlaith in here as well. The Lancers are back, getting charged once again by my Bjornings and Ents. Like I said, I like to bring the Bjornings and Ents together to really just really focus on the enemy cavalry. You can see that these units are actually thinking about routing here, and indeed they actually did rout in the face of some spearmen pursuing them, as well as the Ents and Bjornings. And over here we've got the Warlords of Umbar down to only 13, taking a lot of skirmish fire from my AP crossbows, as well as the skirmishers of Silver Banshee. So probably not the best trade in the world for Umbar. He lost his Lancers, his Warlords are down to 10, and back here you can see his Alcarondis Legion, or Faithful rather, are down to 11, and they have just routed. So altogether, not probably the best trade in the world for Umbar. He's losing a lot of very, very elite cavalry there. Probably not the best play in the world. Meanwhile, you can see that the fight is actually already happening over here on the far end here. We've got Carlin, he's got some of his own bandits around the flank here, going to be trying to toss their payloads into the Romena Bawa Baron. We've also got some mercenary guildsmen getting their AP maces into those heavily armored units. We've also got a hard push here, just overall from Carlin. You can see he's really pushing hard against these seafarers of the Mindamos, who are going down very quickly, not even really being able to throw their javelins before getting into the fight. Wardens of Turngrowth and other pikes just butchering these poor seafarers who don't have the range to deal with that. More seafarers getting killed by pikes. But over here, where the more elite infantry of Numenor is stationed, you can see they're making decent headway. They're starting to push through this pike line here. You can see he's actually got his elite around the back, flanking into the backs of these pike. You can see a lot of Numenor units actually flanking around Carlin here, which is not good because you can see Arsal really suffering from the low morale that is the Carlin troops. You can see his Minister and Sharpshooters routing before really even doing anything at all. We've got Numenor cavalry in the background there, running around, trying to do their best, but they're getting shot by some mercenary crossbowmen who are AP. Some more very elite sword and shield infantry cutting down some, more Oh, I keep calling them Miniscarithlan sharpshooters, but they're not called anymore. They're Minheriath sharpshooters, rather. But yeah, over here we've got some Minheriath spearmen, as well as some bandits charging into the elite unit of Aguilar. But taking a rear charge there from the last of the Fairs and Nobles here. So far, a very bloody fight is ensuing between Cardolin and Numenor. You can see they're basically just wrapping around each other's flanks on either side. We've got some more cavalry from Aguilar charging in here and about, just trying to get as many kills as possible, trying to rout some of these units here. Maybe going to be able to rout these bandits, but they have to be able to get out quickly because they're going to get caught by those spearmen, which would not be good. However, we should quickly move over here because things are progressing rather quickly. See, Dale has brought over some reinforcements, and Dorwyn is pushing forward very hard. Meanwhile, we've also got Umbar pushing as well. He's being a little bit reckless here, in my opinion, with his Warlords of Umbar. I'm actually going to turn up the sounds. It's a little too quiet. I'm not quite sure what I want the sound to be at, unfortunately. But anyway, regardless. Warlords of Umbar. Charging in here, and again, that's not the wisest move in my opinion because this is his general's bodyguard, so he's gonna lose his general if he's not careful. You can see Arthedain trying to pull back, and there's a crossbow volley from my Proudful Protectors, indeed going to kill the Umbar general there. Really a lucky break for me there because his general died right as the MK Overlord is charging into my front lines. You can see I'm trying to pull back all of my skirmishers, and the Umbar front line will shortly crash into my AP hobbits, who are really just going to shred through all this heavy armor of Umbar. Honestly, Umbar is not going to have a fun time, especially on this advance, because on the advance he's just going to get pelted by arrows, AP stones, AP crossbows, just all manner of AP missiles and infantry as well. So it's really not going to be a fun time for Umbar. You can see my javelins also getting ready to throw. My Ents are still looking pretty healthy at 11. My Bjornings, though, took a beating against all that elite Umbar cavalry, but they definitely did their job because the Umbar cavalry is now completely destroyed. My Proudful Protectors are over here trying to target down these Alcarandus Legion, who are going to go over and start attacking my ally Silver Banshee. The fight is now beginning over here with Arthur and Dorwinian. Eldon Vingard charging into the Fornost Urin Defenders. It'll be a pretty even fight, I would say. I'm not quite sure who I think would win. Ooh, Dunedain Troll Slayers here coming out of hiding, though. Maybe going to be able to get some good javelin volleys right to the flanks of those heavily armored units. More cavalry on the flanks here as well. And meanwhile, we've got Silver Banshee helping out his ally Numenor over here. And over here, it's looking close. Like you can see on this flank, Cardolin is just completely crushed Numenor. And over here, Numenor's flank is starting to falter. You can see a number of his units are starting to get surrounded. But again, it's just over here is just such a chaotic battle. Just everyone's charging into the backs of units. No one, I think, really knows what's going on. There's some Dalian cavalry over here. I honestly just don't know what's even happening. But it's going to be an interesting fight. I think Numenor might be able to win this as long as they're able to kill the Cardolin general. And there are only 2 units left in this unit. One of them is the general. So if they're able to kill the general there he is. He's the last one. If he's able to kill the general, he may be able to win. Just because there's not a ton of Cardolin forces left. And his units are rather elite. The only problem is there are a lot of piking left, and his sword and shield infantry don't really have the reach to deal with that. Yeah, there goes the Cardolin general. So it looks like Numenor may end up coming out on top in this particular fight, but it's going to be close. He's going to lose a lot of men in that particular engagement. Meanwhile, you can see Dorwyn just crashing through the Arthedain infantry line here, just bulldozing their way through here. You can see a ton of purple capes here, and Arthedain is just really struggling as hard as he can to hold them back because he's just having a very, very difficult time. But you can see over here, though, my hobbits are just swarming. They're just destroying Umbar, really. The AP just murdering all of these poor Alcarandus Legion. All of the Belgier foemen pretty much routed as soon as they hit my front line. My Ents are just causing havoc, still up 10 of them left. My bandits are out of ammo, tossing all of their javelins already. Corsair infantry running into the fray, but they're already shaken due to the loss of the general and the fear instilling units that are around here. And just all the AP really causing a lot of damage to the Umbar front line. Umbar is just really having a difficult time, which is a good thing because Arthedain is also having a difficult time, so it's making it rather close. However, the Royal Court of House Emlyth may be able to get some charges off here if he's active about the micro here. We'll be able to get some good charges into the rear lines here, but he's going to have to act quick because you can see the Arthedain infantry is falling apart very, very quickly. There's a lot of Dorwinians just punching through here. Even the numerous Gate Guards who are elite are really struggling. Trollstar is going to take a nasty charge from the AP Dalian Cavalry over here as well. Just a very tough fight for Arthedain. It looks like Dorwinian is really just having a field day over here, which is why I have brought over some bandits to toss their payloads into these very blobbed up, heavily armored units of Dorwinian, just getting a ton of kills there with their javelins. some Kelduin River Patrol coming over as well, though. And because I've pretty much dealt with Umbar, you can see Umbar has pretty much been completely destroyed. Just the AP of my hobbits just absolutely mowing through all of the poor heavily armored units of Umbar. Just doing an excellent, excellent job. You can see the hobbits just running through all the bodies. But anyway, yeah, Umbar just having a difficult time, which is honestly a very good thing for the blue team, because Arthedain is also having a difficult time. You can see the Elven infantry is pretty much dealt with most of the Arthedain forces, so it's going to be rushing over here now to face my bandits. We're thinking about routing, actually. And I'm moving over some units as well to try to help out as well. I've got my Private Protectors firing in there. I believe I've got my Rangers, and as well as all of my Foot Archers just pounding into those Elven infantry, as well as all the other units. And you can see I'm also rushing all of my infantry over as quickly as possible, just to try and help out. You can see Isengard has actually got a Troll over here to help out as well. Unit of Trolls, rather. And my Ents are also just wreaking havoc. I'm going to use my Ents to charge into the skirmishing line of Dorwinion. Yeah, over here, Arthedain is having a very, very difficult time. Looks like he's pretty much done for, with the exception of his Royal Court and a couple units of, and a few Troll Slayers, rather. Really just had a very difficult time. However, it looks like Numenor has indeed claimed victory over Cardlin, with the exception of these 12 mercenary crossbows. It looks like the bloody fight has ended between Cardlin and Numenor was barely able to come out on top, which now means that Dorwinion is going to be getting caught in a pincer attack between myself and Numenor. Numenor is looking pretty ragged, to be honest. However, I still have a lot of units, and again, these are all very, very good AP Hobbit infantry. So they're going to be able to just carve their way through these heavily armored units who, again, rely on their armor, which is the main reason why they're struggling so bad. Because all of my infantry is AP. Pretty much all of my army is AP. So units and factions like Umbar and Dorwinion that rely on their armor are going to have a just very difficult time against the Shire. But anyway, just running around as much as I can, trying to get my javelins and stone throwers into positions where they can throw their payloads. And I believe we've actually been missing a bit of the fight between Isengard. Oh man, you can tell I haven't done this in a while because I missed pretty much the entire fight between Isengard and Dale. I must ask for your forgiveness for that. I very much apologize. But one of the main reasons why I didn't focus too much on this particular part of the engagement is because unfortunately Pharaoh actually did crash pretty much right as he engaged with Dale. So Dale is pretty much just having a field day, pretty much the whole time just rear charging all these lines. You can see the crossbows are stuck in melee, they can't really do much. The pikemen are doing pretty well though against the low tier late town pikemen. However, the Delian infantry just crushing around the flanks here, just doing a really good job. The Warwick skirmishers trying to do their bit. Snaga skirmishers also throwing their javelins where they can. Then the Uruk-hai infantry just struggling so hard there. There goes another enemy general. Yeah, the Uruk-hai infantry just having to take those charges because of the crash there. Which is hunting back though. They are being able to fire their BP arrows, which is good. Nazkai also, unfortunately, you can see the Nazkai just sitting here doing nothing, which is very unfortunate. But it happens. It's not a big deal. Yeah, thankfully though, Isengard is definitely damaging Dale quite heavily. Obviously not a ton, but he is doing damage to Dale, which is the important thing, because after we deal with, if we can deal with the Dorwinion rather, we'll have to just come over here and immediately start dealing with the remnants of Dale. Speaking of Dorwinion, you can see the many purple capes over here, but it looks like we have crushed this particular flank, which means I'm going to just continue the blitzkrieg of hobbits, just sprinting forward. They've had enough. They've had enough of the short jokes from all the men. They're ready to cut down these poor fools from Dorwinion. You can see the Dorwinion infantry making a valiant last stand here, surrounded by what's left of Arthedain, as well as some units from Numenor. On the other side, just being completely beset on all sides by the Hobbit folk, ready to cut them down with their units. You can see a lot of these units here just routing. Got my AP stone throwers in here as well, doing their bit. The elites of Numenor are also in here as well. Looks like that's going to be pretty much it for Dorwinion rather. It looks like all the skirmishers were also taken out by the Ents and other units around here. My Ents though looking pretty damaged though, only down to 4 left. They were able to rout this Corsair infantry. There are some Corsair crossbowmen out here as well, getting charged by some Royal Court of House Amlath. But it's pretty much going to be about it for this side of the battle. So I believe we can go ahead and look elsewhere for now, because it's basically, like I said, just the last stand of these few Mangolian units who are just about dealt with. Which means that it is now time to deal with Dale. Or rather, what's left of Dale. Because you can see, like I said, it's unfortunate that Pharaoh did crash in this battle, but regardless of the crash, he actually did damage Dale quite heavily. And Even though he didn't get a ton of kills, he did at least damage the Dale forces somewhat, and he definitely did at least expend all of the ammo, with the exception, I believe, of some more Quinny bows might have a little bit of ammo left, but for the most part, they don't really have anything left. Maybe 1 or 2 volleys the most. But yeah, Dale, knowing, of course, that Isengard has crashed, is going to just try to mop up the remaining Isengard forces as quickly as possible and as efficiently as possible, because efficiency is going to be key here, because he's going to have to try to deal with the Hobbit Horde, as well as what is left of Arthedain and Numenor. But again, he's not even going to touch these Nazgûl, because he knows how deadly they are in melee. If he throws a bunch of units in here like that, a bunch of units in carelessly, he will lose a ton of his remaining men. And he honestly can't even really charge in with his Earls of Dale either, because they're melee cavalry, and if he leaves his Earls of Dale in melee with the Nazgûl for too long, his Earls will get absolutely butchered because of the bonus against cavalry that the Nazgûl have. So knowing that Isengard is crashed, he's out of the game rather, he's going to basically just leave the remaining units of Isengard alone for the time being, and will instead be setting up a battle line over here to try to deal with the remaining hobbits and the rest of the forces from the blue team. But just look at the carnage, just so many bodies here. Trolls the White Hand again, AFK. I've got 4 Ents left. You can see the poor Umbar player here just getting butchered just because of all the AP units here, and he was really having a tough time on the advance. You can see all of his Corsair crossbows here shot to death by my Hobbit archers. And yeah, he had a really tough time, in all honesty. And over here, you can see just the mass of purple and black capes that are Dorwinian and Arthedain, particularly over here where the Dorwinian player made his last stand. Just look at all of these purple capes. I mean, that's just insane. Also over here you can see bodies strewn everywhere from some cavalry and some other units, and over here we can see the carnage that was left behind from Cardolin and
only half the enemy force remains.
I believe, speaking of Cardolin, I believe he still actually has his few remaining Corsair, or not, mercenary crossbowmen rather, somewhere around here. He may have brought them back to Dale's side. I'll try to find them, because right now we're just trying to reform our lines, just trying to get ready for the final engagement between ourselves and what is left of Dale. But I want to find those mercenary crossbowmen. Where did they go? I know they're somewhere around here. Also, my Hiwacha does actually have a little bit of ammo remaining, so I'm going to try to run my crew over here and get them back on the Hiwacha, and then maybe up here on some high ground to try to fire down on the forces of Dale. See, there are still 17 Royal Court of House Amlaith, and Dale still has a decent amount of cavalry. He's got 2 units of the Earls of Dale left, so if he's careful, if he can hold the line long enough, he may be able to use his Earls to charge into the back lines of my Hobbits, and Hobbits do not have good morale, so if he's able to get enough cycle charges in the rear, as well as maybe take out my general, he may be able to cause a chain rout, which could possibly even change the tide of this battle. Oh, unfortunately I did just suffer a crash there, but I'll be right back in just a moment. Alright, so we're back to where we basically need to be now. But anyway, so I'll just go over a few things really quickly. I am currently all out of ammo with my Rangers and all of my other foot archers. However, I do have some ammo left with my stone throwers, who I believe are over here. Yes, the long bottom mob. I'm also a lot of javelin ammo. And over here, the only ammo that is left to the Dalian player is going to be a couple volleys left to his Morroquindi bowman. And that's basically all the ammo that is left over. I've also got my Hiwacha moving around as well, trying to get into a better position to use its last little bit of ammo. But unfortunately, because there is quite a distance between us and the enemy, I will make another cut here to basically where we begin our final assault upon the right team. So I'll see you guys in just a bit. So we are now approaching the climax of this battle. You can see I've got my 3 units of battling Brandybucks going over here to the left flank, being supported by some AP Vanderbrass archers. Got my other units spread out here to face the rest of the Dalian line here. You can see the Dalian line is rather weak, but he does have some scary units like the Urian's Paladins, who are still at 44, as well as the Dalian Royal Guard, who are still at 54, in addition to his cavalry over here. You can see the Isengard units again just being AFK because of the crash. And over here you can see Cardolin's last mercenary crossbowmen just spraying down these Nazgûl, who unfortunately are just going to have to sit there and take it, really. But anyway, we're now going to see this final engagement here. I'm going to get a nice charge here from my battling Brandybucks into these Dalian forces. And again, the AP is really going to help out here a ton. I'm going to charge straight into the Morroquindi bows as well as into the Bardic Marksman. And on the flank, the Royal Court is going to charge into the Earls of Dale. I'm going to use my Ents to support him there. And here's a charge here from my units into the last forces of Dale. And this will begin the final engagement of this battle. We've got the Dune Rangers here as well. I want to kind of step back at least a little bit just because I wanted to wait and use my long bottom mob to kind of spray down some of the elite units like the Alien Paladins, as well as some other units. Meanwhile over here we've got some Arthedain and Numenor units charging into the rest of the lines of Dale. And again, these Romana Baron are just going to cut through things like Dismount Earls of Dale and Bardian Marks. And the Dalian units here really just don't have any chance against the high tier units of Numenor. And over here, the AP of my Hobbits is going to serve very well against the Dalian forces. You can see my Battling Brandby bucks are already making a decent headway into more Kindle and Bardian Marksmen. And over here, we've got the Gearing Paladins doing their best, but again, the AP and the constant stones being thrown are really doing a number on them. You can see some stones also going into the Dalian Royal Guard, who are also going to be getting accosted by the last men in the Royal Legion of Armenelos. Meanwhile, over here you can see the Royal Court, as well as my Ents, have been enough to defeat one unit of the Earls of Dale. However, here comes the second, which is still rather healthy at 30, and then so I'm going to try to use the last of my Ents to just charge into here, try to slow them down, but he is going to be able to escape and try to get around the back line here and get a decent charge on. Again, you can see already the Dalian line is starting to crumble, all the AP here, and just the numbers is really just pushing through, and he really doesn't have much of a chance. You can see already the flank is starting to fold, and Numenor is just starting to run all the way around here and start to run around. You can see a good charge is going to be coming in here into the back of my Hobbits. I'm going to get a nice amount of last-minute kills here into my poor Hobbits, who are going to take a lot of casualties to that. However, I've got my Pikemen over here to try and cut down some of these Earls. They're going to charge my Gandalf Fireworks in there as well. As well as any other units I can try to scramble to help out. Yeah, you can see the Dalian Paladins number 31 got some AP spears behind him as well. More Queenie Bows, thing about routing, also going to accosted from behind by the AP spears. Earls trying to cut down the last of his Royal Court. And yeah, you can see the Bardian Marksmen are routing, more Queenie Bows have routed. Now basically the only thing left to Dale are the how many are there? The 45 Dalian Royal Guard, who are just being surrounded on all sides by all kinds of units. So over here we've got some Earls of Dale going to charge once again. However, I was able to get my Spearmen to countercharge here, and that will be the end of these Earls of Dale. We're going to arrive immediately, especially after getting a recharge from the last of the units. So now basically all that's left are the 17 Girians Paladins, as well as these Dalian Royal Guard. And the Dalian Royal Guard will be able to last quite a while, because they are very good in melee. However, because they're so outnumbered and completely surrounded, they will get cut down eventually. Especially with all the AP and elite units that are just completely surrounded at the moment. So the Girian Paladins are just about done for. Again, they just didn't have the numbers to really deal with our remaining units. Dale definitely did his best, but unfortunately he just didn't have the manpower to deal with our remaining forces. Unfortunately, I was kind of mismanaging this here. I was chasing the Earls of Dale unnecessarily. I'm going to return here and once again charge into the last of these Dalian Royal Guard. Going to be a final stand from the red team, and is going to be a victory for the blue team. The Hobbits are very, very strong against armored units, and in all honesty, BMK did very well, or did as well as it could. It goes the Dalian didn't. But yeah, I think, personally, I think that BMK did well. However, he just, in my opinion, didn't bring an army that would be able to deal with the likes of the Hobbits. He brought a lot of standard infantry, and not enough archers, in my opinion. Especially because he kind of wasted his elite cav early on. I think that was one of his biggest mistakes. But I think when you're facing the Hobbits, what you really have to do is bring a lot of pikes as well as archers, because the Hobbits do not have good armor, and they do not have good morale either. So if you can get some rear charge with cavalry, and if you can skirmish them down, then they will drop very quickly. Not to mention the pikes can kind of just sit there and kind of hold back the forces of the hordes, rather, of the Hobbits as well. But anyway, that'll do it for this battle replay. You can see I got 1,964 kills as well as 300 prisoners. Arthedain got 1,200 kills. Pharaoh, as Isengard, got 1,200 kills as well, despite being crashed out for most of the game. And Aguilar got 1,800 kills as well. Arcel getting 1,200, Katunka getting 1,200, BMK getting 702, and CGM getting 2,294 kills, with the most kills overall in this match. We can take a quick look here at the exact kills for my army. 161 on my crossbows. Bjornings didn't do that good when you think just purely on getting only 32 kills. However, when you think back on the fact that all 32 of those kills were very elite cavalry, like knights and stuff, it is actually a very, very good amount of kills as well. All of my archers did very good. My Hobbitry arms, they were spearmen, so they're not going to get a lot of kills, but their AP did serve them well, as well as their numbers. Farmers Balkan did okay. Battling Brandy Bucks didn't do bad either. My Ents did very well, getting 264 kills. Same with my Stone Throwers and my Rangers doing good as well. My Gunless Fireworks actually getting 102 kills as well. yeah, that'll be the end of this one. I hope you guys did enjoy. If you did, please comment, like, and subscribe. If you did not, just tell me what I did wrong, and I'll be sure to fix it for the next one. So farewell, review fair, till your eyes receive you at your journey's end.